Hi guys, welcome back to Origami Twist. My name's Jen, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a milk carton party favor box out of cardstock. The Tiny Teddies that you can get in the multi-packs here in Australia will fit inside these boxes, just like so. Again, great birthday party favor. Okay, so you can see the two box sizes are slightly different. I will give you measurements for both. So when I say A4, that's the size paper that we use, letter size paper that we use here in Australia and in many places in the world. 8.5 by 11 is the size paper that is used in the United States. So I will be very specific when I say which measurements are which because they are slightly different. They do make a slightly different size box, but again, this way it allows you to have two from one sheet of paper. Okay, for materials, you will need 1/2 of either an A4 or an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Dimensions for that are 8.5 by 5.5 inches, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So for this, if you're in the States, that would be an 11 inch. On the 11-inch side of your piece of paper, just cut it in half. If you're in Australia or anywhere that has an A4, that's going to be 21 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters. Now, a quick tip, when you go to cut this, it is going to be off by a couple of centimeters, so you will need to cut the second sheet down a little bit more when you go to cut them. Now, the other materials you'll need is some sort of adhesive, a pair of scissors, a stylus, which has a ball point on the end of it. You could also use a pen that doesn't have the ink in it to do that, or a metal crochet hook. There are lots of different options for that. You want something that will create a crease in the paper without cutting through the paper. I use a mouse mat for this or a craft mat. So whatever you've got for a surface underneath, this will protect your table. A ruler is also necessary for this one to measure it out. And if you've got a paper trimmer will come in really handy using a cutting blade as well as a scoring blade. This is not 100% necessary, but it speeds the whole process up. Okay, so once you've got your half sheet of paper, you're going to start using your scoring blade. Or, as I said, you could also use a stylus and a ruler for this if you need to. And you're going to measure in 2 inches and score at 2 inches. Then you're going to score at 4 inches. You're going to score at 6 inches. And you're going to score at 8 inches. So once again, that's 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. If you're using an A4 sheet of paper, you're going to measure in at 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters, and 20 centimeters. And you're welcome to screenshot this if you need to at any point in the process so you have reference for later. Okay, now you're going to turn it lengthways with the skinny tab, so the 1/2 inch piece at the end, facing away from you. And we're going to score at 1 inch. Now on the other side, we're going to come in at 1/2 inch. And 1 3/4 inches. So once again, this is going to be 1 inch coming in from this side and score. And then from this side, we're going to come in at 1 3/4 inches and 1/2 inch. The corresponding math for A4 is going to be 2.5 centimeters measured in from the left side, and from the right side we're going to come in 4 centimeters and 1 centimeter. So measure in 2.5 centimeters and score, measure in 4 centimeters and score, measure in 1 centimeter and score. The next step is to cut out some of these tabs so that when we fold it all up, it all connects really easily. And where you're going to cut is fairly straightforward. We're going to take this little square up in the corner there and the rectangle next to it. And you'll be able to see this a lot better on your actual sheet of paper because you'll have the scores already scored into it. We're going to leave the next tab and take out the one next to it and leave the next tab. Down here, we're just going to remove this little rectangle on the left. Now, a quick tip for making your box go together really neatly, and this is a good tip for all sorts of boxes, is that rather than just cutting straight along the line, anything that ends up being a tab, if you can actually be sort of cornered a little bit, meaning come in just a tiny bit and cut a little tiny skinny triangle off the end rather than cutting straight into it. This means when you fold it under, all of the edges will be hidden and you won't end up with any rough edges. So again, same thing, teeny tiny, and I'm talking just a sliver, just enough to not have it be rough. Teeny tiny triangle cut out of there. And same thing, teeny tiny triangle just up to the edge. Then we're going to cut it straight across the line. Doesn't need to be cut in at all for the line because you want the actual box itself to not be trimmed at all, but it's just for the tabs. So a little tiny triangle, little tiny angle there, and remove that section. Now again, same thing, we're going to put a little tiny angle going this way and a little tiny angle going this way. And then if you have a cutting blade or something and you want to cut it that way, you can. I'm going to use my scissors here, but whatever makes it neatest for you. There you go. And once again, a tiny little triangle cut off the side there. And we're almost finished. Now you'll notice that I did trim in a little bit as I was coming around. I did that automatically even though I didn't mention it at the beginning. The reasoning for that is that when this is folded, these are going to be two separate tabs. So rather than having all that extra cardstock in there creating bulk, I just cut out the cardstock so that it'll fit together easier. Now at the bottom we've got 4 tabs scored in here. And we're going to do, again, with that super skinny triangle technique, we're going to cut all the way up to the intersection of the 2 creases there to create 4 little tabs. And this is going to be the bottom of the box. Now, as with many of the projects that I design and create for you here, and also the traditional origami that I do for you here on YouTube, you can always pause and go back if you're not sure, or if you need to double check a measurement or whatever. That pause button can be quite helpful. Okay, so we've got the tabs cut and we've got all of the white space removed. Now we need to make the two little triangles to create that fun shape here at the top that creates the milk carton design. And all you have to do, and this is where your stylus will come in, if you can figure out how to do it on your paper trimmer, that's great. I find that the stylus gives you a little bit more freedom as far as getting the lines correct, but it's totally up to you. Okay, so now we are going to use the stylus, making sure you have a mat under it so you don't ruin your tabletop. Mark that off for you. You're going to ignore that 1/2 inch tab and put the 0 point of your ruler at the edge of that tab. And when I say 0 point, what I mean is that many rulers actually have a little excess that doesn't count as part of the ruler on it. I'm not sure if you ever realized that. When you measure, 1 inch is actually from the point where these marks are, not from the edge of the ruler. So if you measure 1 inch in and you're going right from the end of the ruler on a ruler that has that white space, you're going to end up with more than 1 inch measured out. So always double check and make sure that the 0 point is either the end of the ruler, as some are, or where it is marked on the actual ruler so that you measure correctly. So when I line this up here, I'm actually going to line up that first mark with the edge of my paper rather than the end of the ruler with the edge of my paper. That'll give me a more accurate measurement. So for the 8.5 by 11 paper, we're going to make a mark with the stylus at 1 inch because this section here is 2 inches long and we need to mark the midway point. So that's 1 inch. I'm going to come over to the other section that has a piece cut out of it and do exactly the same thing. The 0 mark lined up at the crease that we've created earlier and making a little mark at the 1 inch mark. You could do that with a pencil as well. It's totally up to you. If you are working with A4 paper, you're going to use your centimeters, of course, and you're going to make that little mark at 2.5 centimeters rather than 1 inch. So 2.5 centimeters, come down over here, again, 0 point at the crease and 2.5 centimeters. So once again, you'll have the score marks already on your paper, so you won't need it all written in Sharpie, but I have drawn the lines out here, and you're just going to take your straight edge and connect the 2 dots. So where these 2 intersect and that mark we just made at the midway point. So here, 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 and here. And once you have created the score marks for the triangles, you are ready to start folding. You're going to fold the 2 tabs at the top towards you, and then these 2 scores here are also going to fold towards you. And just keeping in mind, when you come from behind the paper and hold onto the paper here and press down, it's not going to create a line that actually lines up here. So it's going to feel a bit funny to do that, but trust me, it will all work out in the end. So fold towards yourself, create a crease, fold towards yourself, create a crease, and so on. And then all of the other creases on the paper are going to happen with the paper turned over. So here, all of those, and then if you turn it 90 degrees, all of the tabs at the bottom will come up and the big long piece at the bottom will come down. Once you've created all of your creases, we're now going to fold up the box. So I've put adhesive on the 2 tabs to the left here. We're also going to end up putting a little bit of adhesive on the bottom when we get to that, and also on these tabs up here at the top when we get to that. If you're using double-sided adhesive, you can pre-tape the whole thing so that it's easy to assemble everything. Or if you're using glue, I would do it one at a time so that you don't end up with glue all over the place. So one section of it at a time. So first section is these tabs, which we're going to line up really carefully and glue together. And the next section is the bottom of the box. So it really doesn't matter which way you fold it. You could fold it like you would a cardboard box like this if you want to. I find that just folding it up like this gives it the neatest look. And once again, use a little bit of adhesive of your choice. I'm using double-sided adhesive. You can use glue, no problem. And a little bit on each of the 2 top tabs, whichever you decide that those are. And tape it down, being very neat to make sure it's nice and even. And you can see why I cut out a little tiny bit of each of those edges, because with all of the folds and everything in place, it can actually hang over the edge. So just to prevent that, and we're going to turn it over, and you'll find that because it's cardstock, you may not be able to press everything together really well. So if you hold it down and then put a marker or something into the bottom just to press the tabs all together. If you're using that's ideal. If you're using liquid glue, you can even press with the bottom of the bottle. But however you go, you do want to make sure that's all pressed together. And when that's all dry, then you're ready to fill your box. And Once again, I'm using Tiny Teddies. You can use fruit snacks, whatever you've got, or even a toy of some sort if you're doing it for a birthday party. Tuck it inside, and then press the two triangles towards each other and put some adhesive at the top and hold it together. If you're doing a bunch for a birthday party, you may even just want to staple the top. Totally up to you. And put a little on here so that you can see what it looks like when it's all closed up. And press it together nice and neatly. And there you go. One milk carton box. Now, if you decide you want to decorate this with stamps or something, the ideal time to do that is when it's still flat and you haven't turned it into a box. You can decorate it however you want. You could put a little cutout or die cut into one of the sides, keeping in mind that the face of the box corresponds with the tab that's sticking out the top. The triangle ones will end up being the side of the box. So to help you with decorating, you could put stamps on the front, I love you, happy back to school, whatever it is. And there you go. One milk carton box. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And make a whole bunch for back to school. And okay, no promises, because I know that I am not the best at keeping my promises when it comes to filming. I don't know what it is. I get so distracted and then I don't film. And my goal is to get filming again. I'd like to make 2 videos a week. That's the idea. Not going to make any promises, but hopefully I will have another video for you on Sunday. And if you've got any ideas for videos you'd like to see, please put them in the description box below. If you have already asked for a video in the past, I do have a list that I'm working through. So I believe it should be on that list. If you want to, please leave that suggestion below again so that it definitely makes it on the list. I have some really fun stuff coming up soon. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.